Okay, dude. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is a review of Bill and Ted Face the Music. I did not see the New Mutants. All versions of the New Mutants online are all fakes. They have not released it streaming at all, so there was even one that claimed it was it, but it was Stillwater or something, which is weird. Stillwater. It's odd. It was not, obviously not that. But yeah, they yeah, it's not online. I don't know how Cinema Snob ended up seeing it. I don't know how Stone Gremlins ended up seeing it, because unless he went to a theater showing somewhere of it. But I saw Bill and Ted Face the Music, dude. Yeah, I've seen the other two, 89 and 91. And the cartoon that was also on Stone Gremlins. I've seen that, and I also seen the hideous live action attempt to make a show out of which didn't work. All that stuff. The first one was notable because Mark's Cards, and I went to see it. The second one was notable because me and Big Tim and Angie Tyson went to see it. And we went to the theaters and saw it because Tim had a car and I didn't at that point. So so we went to see Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So this is the third sequel 25 years later or so, roughly. Roughly. Yeah. Actually, it's more than 25. It's actually closer to 29 years later, because it was like 91. Yeah, it was a long time ago. So, yeah, it's almost 20 years ago, but they fudged it in the movie. 25, like almost 30. Sure. Keanu Reeves and the other guy. Reprised their role, of course. George Carlin's dead. He died, so they couldn't get him again. But they got the alleged daughter, and they got their daughters in there. And Stone Gremlins already likened it to the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, in that it was kind of like, well, it's kind of like that, in that their daughters are in it, and they do some of the same paint by numbers from the first one, but it tries to be its own thing. I think in terms of a 2020 release, there haven't been a lot of movie releases due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This was online streaming, and into here at the Runabout room, and online streaming, and it was no audience. Sure, comedy of the year, definitely. I don't know if it's best picture of the year, but there haven't been a lot of pictures this year. I don't know if it's quite that, but it is comedy of the year at this point, definitely. Of course, the Jay and Silent Bob thing was late last year, so it wouldn't be on there. Let's see. That wasn't comedy of the year either. It was okay. It was nostalgic, but this one had a lot of nostalgic moments too. The gags in it were fun. That they play fast and loose with the time travel, and things go wrong. If they had Cillian powers such as they do, they would be doing that. It's very much in that realm, the ballpark of Starship Locations, but with rockers. Yes. They fall into their roles again. Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, as though they have never been not doing it. It's impressive. They just immediately fall in. There was the opening scene is pretty funny when the guy has the spoiler alert, I guess. They have a wedding, and apparently the Missy has been divorced from his father and briefly married to, and then divorced from the father and married to Bill and Ted's friend, and he's like, the friend is like 50, and she's like 70 at this point, which would be kind of weird. Well, I guess the joke was that like Missy's mom was hot. Missy was hot in the first one, so like she was like 20 or something. She was almost their age, so it's like stepmom like is their age. It's not that weird. I guess 56 and 50 and 60, late 60s for them, I guess. But they, the daughters are played by two relative unknowns. I think one of them was on Stranger Things, and another was on one of those WB shows. Other than that, relatively new stars. The guy that played Death comes back. That was a pretty funny scene too. Also, they're trying to convince him to take them back to the surface. So they kind of play some of the same beats. They kind of like do like, we gotta find the song that changes the world, and it's not working, and they have to go. And they keep messing up space-time. There's a couples therapy scene where they're both together in the same, with both couples, and throws them off. And they spend a lot of time there, actually. That kind of a spoof of the Analyze That kind of thing, of which was then later co-opted in the Sopranos. They co-opted it. They made a serious version of Analyze This. The Sopranos was basically Analyze This and Analyze That, but with serious instead of comedy. This one is comedy, but in that respect, or the conflicts. Anyway, so all right, we have a killer robot, a Terminator type of robot named Dennis, played by. Sounds like it kind of sounds like it's Morton Roadkill playing him. It's just hilarious. Dennis. Call me Dennis. Really sure what's going on there. It wasn't, but it sounded like it. Like what Peter Cullen said in an interview, that the guys in the game, are not me, somebody else. I didn't get, they're not union. The Netflix show. Yeah, and wasn't, no, I was an imitator. Yeah, like it was on the Netflix Transformers. Also an imitator. But these two guys were the original Bill and Ted. They may have had a cameo by the two that replaced them in the TV show. I don't think so. There's probably a lot of Easter eggs. It was expensive to get it. It was the price of a DVD. So hopefully when the... that's kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to be able to spend that much money on just renting on-demand movies. The price of a DVD, they should be half that because you're watching it online. But I guess they have to make... So, you'll probably get the DVD online. I don't think it's going to be on the expensive bin. Blu-ray. But yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah, so. Watch the Bill and Ted thing. So they have to get a song that unites the world, and they keep going into the future a little bit. And well, first of all, they go into the far off future of the 2750s, and then they go back to their own timeline. They try to mess with themselves. Turns out their sort of evil selves have holed up in a mansion. They're like squatting on it, and they pretend to be like all fruity and weird. And which we always knew there was slash fiction of those two. It's kind of funny they played off on that, on their own slash fiction. That was pretty funny. Then at the end, they have to unite the song with their last names. They're still married to the chicks, but clearly they're married to each other. Yeah, exactly. Little Bill and Little Ted are curled. Jimi Hendrix is, and Mozart, and a cave woman who plays the drums, and I think I remember him from the first one, and cave Yeah, they just go all around through time and space and stuff. The future, dude. It's all flooded, but there's like buildings on top of it. Yeah, maybe by that time in the distant future, the coastal city of San Dimas is underwater, so they have to build on top of it. Venice. Super Venice in the future. But anyway, so there's also scenes that cut back to the very Cillian scenes that were, because it pretty much is a Cillian story. Back to them as old people in 2067, which would make them over almost 100, about 100, and they're like, yeah. Stay for the end credits to see what the two old guys do. But I won't spoil that. But this song unites the world, dude. And of course, the songs that unite the world are completely just random. They play random music and stuff, and it sounds like Kal Kat, basically. So that's actually funny. Yeah, I didn't write this thing, but it certainly seems like I inspired it. I like to think that I did. They watch some of my videos. Sure, I may not have a lot of subscribers, but I do have a lot of views. 20,000 on one side, 1,000 on the other. So, not that that matters, but there it is. Plug my channel. You can watch my channel. So the reviews are back a little bit, but we're also going to get back to Trans Tech now that the fires have let up in the area. There were fires, and you couldn't film upstairs in the studio. Weather was bad. So now that it's back, do that. It was fine. It was a Bill and Ted movie. It was it had struck all the right chords, man. Louis Armstrong, Ellington or something like that. Yeah, so that was supposed to be. Yeah, it had. I suspect that there will be some people that will be annoyed because they're snowflakes. There will be some people out there that don't like the social justice message that is not that blatant in the movie at all. I mean, it's there. And also that they have a plethora of ladies and blacks in it, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to do that. Heroic African American characters and heroic lady characters. There's nothing wrong with that. It's cool. But for some reason, some people are probably bent out of shape somewhere about it, even though it's about rock people doing stuff. They're not on about the New Mutants. Apparently they don't like it. Although really they probably haven't seen it, so I'm thinking that all the reviews about that movie, it's not streaming anywhere, those are fake reviews because nobody's seen it. It hasn't been released anywhere. There's like a few theaters open sporadically across the country, and those would be real reviews, but there wouldn't be 23% of them. It would be like maybe 4 reviewers have seen it so far, maybe 5. It wouldn't be that many. But yeah, we're not going back to the theaters until that thing is pretty much, taken care of. They haven't taken care of it, so I'm not going back to theaters yet. Yeah. So, and heroic figures from out of space and time. The robot that lasers them at one point to hell. They go back to hell at one point, and because for some reason getting lasered by a robot would send them to hell, so that they can meet death. They wouldn't go to heaven; they go to hell. There's the infinite. It's a weird sort of dichotomy. What kind of weird cult are they? It's like, and at the end, there's like it looks like Saturn's in orbit, and there's like a weird like album cover. Dude, excellent. It's an album cover. But yeah, Bill and Ted Face the Music. fun send up to the story, the ideas. The rapid fire jokes are very similar to the Kevin Smith movie. I think they're a little better, actually, than the Kevin Smith movie. The Kevin Smith movie, although it was, it was a special screening. I went to the special screening. It was awesome. However, the one drawback to the special screening that I went to is Kevin Smith was not actually at that one. Some of his people, but not him. And video critic and black critic and some other critics were there. They were there. But yeah. And one of the game guys was there. But that was cool. But they didn't let anybody film them. So, but this movie was streaming online so much. Yeah, and to date, Kevin Smith has not reviewed directly on Fat Man on Batman Beyond. Has not reviewed Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn movie, Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of Birds of Prey, Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. He talked about it on Twitter. Talked to the director on Twitter about the PG-13 rating, but he did not actually. And this movie was PG-13 for some reason. Yeah, why did they give this an MP-13? There was nothing in this that was PG-13. I don't know why the MPA gave Bill and Ted a PG-13. There's nothing in it that was PG-13. It was PG. What, intense imagery and fake hell? It looked like something out of a stage set from an album cover from the 70s. It was not scary. It's not supposed to be. The cameo by yet another Kal Kat as a space demon. Oh my god. But yes, they filmed Bill and Ted Face the Music pretty before the pandemic, so it was already done. Yeah. But yes, so that was fun. Bill and Ted Face the Music. Yeah, so. Yeah. It's tea. Unlike John Jr., Donald Trump Jr., it was like, I wasn't high on cold. He was. It was a speech that this Trump Jr. guy did. This is going to really date this video to like 2020. The guy was this politician. He was blitzed out of his mind. Clearly was blitzed out of his mind. Red-faced, eyes are all dilated. Well, it was the lighting and stuff. It's like, no, dude, you were high. Which, yeah. But yeah, dude. I wonder what he was on. Probably the same stuff Kimberly Guilfoyle was on. Dude. It's like there was actually... Yeah, I mean... there's nothing PG-13 in this movie. It's fine. Teenagers can watch it. It's fine. Watch Face the Music. It's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. Probably seen worse on cable television. It really is not PG-13. I think it's PG. I don't think they'd get most of the jokes though. The random blogger band that comes together at the end of. Well, the music wasn't as cool as excellent. Bogus Journey had an excellent song. Dude, God gave rock and roll to you. Give rock and roll to you. Put it in the soul of everyone. But it's like in this one they didn't really do that. But dude, groovy. So yeah, that's kind of my review of roundabout of Bill and Ted Face the Music. Go ahead and get it on streaming. I would actually wait until the DVD comes out and just buy the DVD, because if streaming is going to charge as much as the DVD, like $19, just wait for it to come out on DVD. So you're spending that much anyway. Because there's no way I'm going to watch Artemis Fowl streaming for $19.99. No. I heard that movie was really bad. heard that movie so far, that Artemis Fowl is the worst movie of the year. From the reviews that I've watched, I'd probably say yeah. But as you know, the Claire Awards, which won't have very many movies on it, I was gonna say like, we can't rate a movie that we don't review. And somebody else had commented that Parasite, which was the first movie of this year that I reviewed, that technically was end of last year. They didn't understand. He just doesn't understand it. It was the best ever of the year. Technically, best of the year is rated by an opinion polls of. So, I think it's the best of the year or not. It is, in my opinion. Yes, editorial columns for YouTube are opinions. So if I think it's the best of the year, it is. I might not think so, or whatever. And I thought Parasite was the best foreign film of the year. It was maybe thriller, although there were a couple of thrillers. Knives Out was better than in terms of thriller. So, you know, and I did see that. It was as a thriller. It was a caper drama thriller thing. In that category, it's one of them, but it's not Best Picture. Joker was Best Picture. What movie personifies that particular year? That's also how the Claire Awards work. So if it's either a popularity contest or what personifies that year, like when Black Panther won everything. Because, like that, incidentally, the guy that played King T'Challa, he died of colon cancer just recently, like yesterday. So he's not returning for part 2. He's dead. What if they're going to recast, or are they going to work it into the story, or what? They kind of have to. Yeah, main character. Yeah, it would be ballsy of them, Marvel, to say, "Oh, this character died," at some point. I think they kind of should. I think that would be kind of cool. Be like, "Oh, yeah, I guess just established, thing." But yeah, the lady's in charge now. Because that does happen in the comic books. And people, of course, on the hard right were confusing the comic books and the movie with the Black Panthers. Not the same thing. Actually, they kind of came out around the same time, so there is some confusion. But if you look back in the history books, apparently the comic book people were like, you know what would be cool? As if we had a group of superheroes from this country that kind of emulates these vigilantes, but isn't. So the comic book came later. The comic book is a little bit later, but at the same time. And they were like, okay, but we'll make them like cat-like. They'll be like literally panther people, panther gods and stuff, with the kabuki masks and things. Well, not kabuki; they'd be something else, but whatever the African version is. So yeah, they were not supposed to be. The Black Panthers, literally, it was a movie about superheroes on a super country that doesn't exist. So, in that sense, no, that was not imitating the Oakland Panther organization at all. It's another thing that doesn't make any sense in Forrest Gump. For some reason, Gump is with the Panthers. He wouldn't be. That would be in California. How do you get there? He wouldn't have been there. I noticed that there have been no protest riots, vandals in Oakland or San Francisco. There have been a few little outbursts in San Francisco, but nothing big. And San Jose, not at all. It's kind of interesting that the area that they're going on about is not a hotbed for activity at all. Places like Wisconsin apparently are. Sucky things happen, but not San Francisco. They're like, oh, we didn't know, man. It's peace and love over here, man. Yeah. San Francisco. They're probably having protests. But yeah, the place where the Panthers actually started, they're not doing anything. At least they're not doing anything bad. They're obeying the law. So, that's interesting. Anyway, so but yeah, it started in Oakland, in Los Angeles, and LA is kind of doing stuff. Well, that would be a rant about something else that has nothing to do with this movie, which the movie's message is a song unites the world, even though it's a random song. So So I'll tie it back in. So, random song unites the world. I don't know if YouTube unites the world really. That doesn't. But no, it kind of divides it. Yeah. So. What big the question of their time travel, like infinite realities thing at the end? If they're in an infinite loop where there are several realities are happening at the same time, and they go up and fix it manually, with the station guy who's actually the other dude, then wouldn't the future people already know what's going to happen before it happens, and they wouldn't send for them in the first place? The movie wouldn't happen because they already knew from the multiverse what was going to go on. Now what they did in Spider-Man Far From Home is they said it wasn't really the multiverse. The guy was just pretending he was actually one of Stark's enemies, the Mysterio. Well done, Mysterio character. But yeah. But yes, how are they going to do that? They're going to do another one of that too. They're going to do Spider-Man 3. And James Gunn just finished a trailer, a pre-trailer, like behind the scenes of The Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad 2. It's technically 2 with Margot Robbie's in it. Some of them are in it from the other one. Not Will Smith, he's not in it. Different people. It's sort of a reboot / remake, and yeah, that new Batman trailer looks awesome over there at DC. Yeah, that new Batman was partly a script by Affleck, but they changed a lot of it when they redid it. It's not the Long Dark Halloween, it's the other Halloween special from Shadow of the Bat and Gotham Knights. So the Gotham Knights game kind of ties into it a little bit. But in the game, they're supposed to imply that Bruce Wayne is dead in the game. It's in the trailer. In the game, but not in the movie. And so it's a different Gotham Knights. It's not the one from the 90s, early 2000s. It's a different one. It's the one before the Oracle, but not really. It's going to confuse people, I think. Retconning Batman over and over again is going to confuse people. But apparently on the TV series, the Gotham series, Keaton is returning as Batman in an episode, apparently. And he's going to play the Batman from, like, Batman Beyond in the show, but not in the movie. It should be in a movie, though. That would be awesome. Yeah. Because there's a Crisis on Infinite Earths thing going on with the DC verse over there on the TV show. It's slow budget, but the guy playing Lex Luthor is doing a pretty good job. And they have some other stuff. Anyway, so I've seen a little bit of it. Not enough of it to do a review, though. Not enough to do it justice. Oh, yes, also, speaking of justice, also we have, I'm just giving a recap because there haven't been many movie reviews. The other thing is Justice League, the Schneider Cut. I knew about that months ago, but I couldn't tell you. There is a Schneider Cut. Yes. We told you there wasn't, but we winked like this. And, yeah, it's going to be on HBO, though. And I'm not going to be able to see it until it comes out on DVD. I don't want to have to buy a HBO streaming service just to see one show. It's ridiculous. Unless it's Bill and Ted, of course. Excellent!